or say war.
Hi guys, welcome to Road to a Million special on UFC 246 coming up. This is going to be a little bit of an in-depth review. It's going to be my opinions on who's going to win the fights. It's going to be an exciting pay-per-view to watch, and I think there's going to be some great opportunities to win some money. Before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors. Tata's Hot Sauce Emporium brings that flavor to your table. I'm starting the new year with a bang, and if you want to start it with a bang too, start it with a hot bang at Tata's Hot Sauce. Multiple flavors available, pleases everybody, trust me. Going to the UFC this weekend coming up, UFC 246. We're going to start at the prelims, and then we're going to go to the main card. We're going to skip over the early prelims. I'm not really going to review those guys. They're not really big names, so let's go and try and make some money off of something that we're going to really watch. So going with the prelims, the very first fight of the night is going to be Chase Skelly versus Grant Dawson. Now, Chase Skelly is 17-4. Dawson is 13-1. Dawson is on a 3-fight UFC win streak, and he's more of a submission style guy, whereas Chase Skelly is on a 5-fight UFC win streak, and he's got some highlight KOs. One of the highlight KOs that I want to put up there is actually Justin Knight. Now, Justin Knight might sound familiar. For those of you who watch bare knuckle boxing, he went in a crazy fight where he was beat up bad. His face was pretty much mashed. The guy didn't go down. So to KO Justin Knight, that shows that you've got some power in your hands. I like that in a guy who's on a 5-fight win streak. He's also actually 8-1, with his only loss in his last 9 fights coming to Darren the Damage Elkins. Now that guy, I mean, you want to talk about going toe-to-toe with people, the only guy I would think could take more damage than Jason Knight would be Elkins. So, I mean, this guy, Chase Skelly, he's in it for the haul. He knows what that fight's going to be. You bring a war, he's not afraid of it. He's got that power. He's a little bit more well-rounded as well. He's got submission wins, KO wins, and decision wins, showing that he's got that cardio that he can really push. Grant Dawson, he also has good cardio. Being a submission guy, you have to have that wrestling and that grip later on in the fight. So his cardio isn't really suspect either. Taking a look at these two fighters, you really have a guy who has a lot more fights than the other in the UFC, which is saying a lot when you talk about competition levels. In Chase Skelly, I think that even though he has a lot of wins, nobody's been crazy big, but he definitely has the experience, as Grant Dawson also doesn't really have any crazy big wins. Right now, I think that Dawson's best bet is to go for takedowns in this fight, play to his submission specialty. Skelly will probably stuff that. He's got some good takedown defense. I think it's at 40% takedown defense. Given that he's going up against someone less experienced, I bet that's going to play into his favor, and he's no stranger to slip in a choke if the opportunity comes. I think we're going to see Skelly take advantage of something or possibly win by decision. Skelly to win here pays out 3.25. He's a huge underdog, and given his record, given the type of guys he's fought, I really don't see why, other than Grant Dawson is kind of a hot prospect. But when you take a look at Chase Skelly, 5-fight UFC win streak against guys that Grant Dawson is going decision to. It's just, in my mind, I think that's a pretty good bet. I think that's going to be a good fight to watch. Maybe a little bit more grinding than people would like to watch, but I think that's going to be a good one that we can possibly make a little money on and enjoy watching at the same time. Moving on to the next fight of the prelims, we got a jobber in Drew Dauber. This guy comes out, he works, he fights every fight. He's game to go. He's not shy. You know that he'll take on any opponent anytime, and he'll come out and really work his butt off. So I give props to him on that. He's very well-rounded, but he's got a mix of wins and losses. I think sometimes he goes a little too aggressive, gets a little caught, which, no risk, no reward. Sometimes it works out for him, sometimes not. He's had 13 fights in UFC, and he's won 7. So he's just technically over that 50% mark. Whereas his opponent, Nasrat Hakparast, I'm probably butchering that. He is he's a prospect that they're calling up, but despite landing more shots in his last fight, he was overworked. in just accuracy and actually ended up being KO'd. Despite him having a higher accuracy in that fight and more punches landed, he ended up being KO'd. I mean, if you're not throwing accurate, you're not putting those fundamentals in, then you can be just a big tough guy. I mean, but everyone in UFC is a big tough guy. It's being accurate that's going to put you ahead of your opponent. Drew Dober knows that. He's been in there with guys that Nasrat has not been to. And so I think Drew Dober is going to win this fight. I think he's just going to outwork him. Maybe a late KO or decision. I just don't see Drew Dober falling into any holes that Nasrat can really take advantage of. Dober would have to do fairly poorly, and Dober is more experienced. He'll catch Nasrat if that's what happens. If he comes in sloppy, Dober here to win again. Huge underdog, pays 3.5. Don't know why. He's always in shape. Good fight. I think that's going to be a fun one to watch. Look for a late KO or a decision win by Dober. The next one on the prelims, and this is going to be a really good fight to watch. This is going to be Andre Touchy FILI against SODIQ YUSUFF. Now, Andre FILI is immensely underrated. This guy's record is 19-6, which doesn't sound great. But when you take a look, he's had 12 fights in the UFC, and he's gone 8-4. His losses: Holloway, Yair Rodriguez, and Michael Johnson, and someone else early on. I mean, think about that. When you're losing to no one but the champs and guys who are going up against the champ, you're a qualified guy. This guy, in my opinion, should be somewhere ranked up towards like 5 or 6 in the division easily. Going up against SODIQ YUSUFF, who's 9-1. He's on a 3-fight win streak in the UFC, but he's 0 takedowns for 3 attempts and only has 50% striking accuracy. I mean, he's going to come in strong. He's going to look for those punches. He's going to look to try and knock out Andre FILI, but FILI's been in there with guys who throw the same amount of power, more experience, more options, takedowns, submissions. I mean, when you have to worry about more than one thing with a guy, it makes a fight a lot more dangerous. Andre FILI is no stranger to takedowns, and he's no stranger to keeping them off. Basically, his takedown defense in striking is 53%, and his takedowns is 70%. And he also mixes in takedowns in every fight. He gets 2.4 takedowns per fight. So on average, I mean, this guy is going to mix it up. There, he has many more tools, and I think people are really just underestimating him. I don't know why he's getting top. He's only losing to top guys who are in top condition. So I think that we're going to see FILI pick him apart and take him down should SODIQ get any kind of offense going. I think FILI's just going to stuff him, take him down, counter takedown. FILI here to win pays 2.1. So he's an underdog, but not as much as the earlier fights. Here, I think this is actually going to be one of our safest picks of the night. So we're going to circle back to this one later. The last fight of the prelims is a female fight in ROXANNE MODAFFERI versus MAYCEE BARBER. Now, ROXANNE, people know from The Ultimate Fighter, she has an immense record of 23-15. For a female fighter, that is immensely huge. For a regular fighter, that's a big record. So going up against a big name like that, I can see why she's headlining this here. But the prelims here. But when you take a look at her opponent, MAYCEE BARBER, I can see why that's her opponent. She's 7-0. Her striking game is crazy. She has 100% takedown defense in all of her UFC fights. That's insane. Roxanne's going to try and go for the takedown. She's going to get stuffed, and she's going to get punched. It's going to be one of these stepping stone moments where people are going to look at who did you beat, and there's going to be someone there to kind of fluff the record almost. Roxanne is not as able as her record would kind of push forward. A lot of that record was amassed before the women's division was what we see today. That's why we still see her with a record like this on the undercard. I hate to say it. I like her as a fighter. I think she's fun to watch, but MAYCEE BARBER is going to just destroy her. And she has 4 vowels in her name. MAYCEE. MAYCEE. That's crazy. That's the first person I know who spells it like that. Love it. So I think she's going to win this. 60% strike accuracy, and it just look at her in her fights. She has that killer instinct that a lot of these fighters are missing. They're all KOs, 4-fight win streak, all via stoppage. It's nuts. She's just an angry little bee in there to just take out her opponent. And when she wins, she walks away with a smile, looking like I told you so. Like, how dare you step in this ring? So I like her. I think she's coming up. I think she's going to be fun to watch in the future. She's going to be one of the few that's going to be a contender. I hope they don't rush her into the position. She could still learn a lot. But right now, I can see why they would put her against Roxanne. I think she's going to beat Roxanne. This is going to be a good stepping stone for her. So my money would be on MAYCEE Barber, except I wouldn't put anything on her. She pays 1.083, which means for every dollar you win 8.3 cents. So there's no point in putting a bet on that. Enjoy the fight. Watch Roxanne get knocked out. One of the few fights where you're probably going to see a female knockout fight. I mean, aside from Amanda Nunes or Cyborg. So take a look, watch that fight. It'll be a good prelim. That being said, that brings an end to the prelims. We're going to move on to the main card. We're going to come back to the prelims to view that the FILI fight. But for now, we're going to take a look at the main card and see if we can pick a few more dogs here. Starting with Anthony Pettis. This is the first fight on the main card. Anthony Pettis versus Diego Ferreira. Now, Pettis, everyone knows Pettis, 22-9, fought the who's who, main evented time and time again, for titles, not for titles. He goes 5 rounds, 3 rounds. This guy's experienced. He's been in there with everybody. You can't say he's not a good fighter. For years, he's been a top guy. But recently, he's been alternating kind of wins and losses. You've seen him kind of give up in fights where he starts losing or can't push his way around. You see this in the Tony Ferguson fight and the Nate Diaz fight. With Tony Ferguson, he came in telling him, I'm going to break your leg again, yada, yada. At the end, he quit between rounds. It was one of those situations where he likes to be the star, and if he can't get off and push his game plan, he's going to try something flashy, and if that doesn't work, he may just kind of quit out. That being said, he always comes in very confident. But Diego Ferreira is not a slouch either. He's 16-2, but he tends to come up short against top guys like Poirier and DeRush. But I mean, Pettis is kind of in the same boat. He's back and forth with guys like that as well. However, you take a look at Pettis, and he's got guys like Wonder Boy under his belt. You know what I mean? When he comes out focused and gets to execute his game plan, that's a dangerous Anthony Pettis. Diego Ferreira's on a 5-fight UFC win streak, and he's 7-2 in UFC fights, which is great for a record in UFC. But again, he hasn't really been able to push that envelope. This will be a good fight for him to step up. But honestly, I feel like Pettis is more marketable here. I don't feel like he's going to lose this fight against Diego Ferreira. He would have to have a bigger fight. Like, if he loses this, that's a big dip for Anthony Pettis and a big step for Diego Ferreira. That being said, I kind of feel like Pettis is going to win this fight. He knows he's got to come in focused, and if he comes in focused, we can see what he does. Take a look again, Wonder Boy fight. That fight, he was coming in. Everyone had him counted out. He knew he had to put the game together. So I see Pettis winning this, possibly by points. Pettis, again, another underdog, paying out 3. I think that's a little bit of a risky one there. I'm not a huge Pettis guy right now, but I think in this fight, that's the safer win. And again, he pays 3. That's an underdog. That's a good payday. Anthony Pettis paying 3 against someone who we really don't hear much about. Pettis ain't no slouch. That's a good pick most days of the week. This brings us to our second female fight of the night. Claudia Gadelha versus Alexa Grasso. Now, everyone knows Claudia Gadelha and Alexa Grasso. These two are constant title contenders or perennial contenders that keep getting their names tossed in the hat there. But when we take a look at stats and who people have fought, we see it's a pretty even fight. We have 45% overall accuracy for Claudia Gadelha, both striking and in takedown. Alexa Grasso averages actually about 47%, which is a negligible difference. Claudia Gadea has been alternating wins and losses. So has Alexa Grasso. But when you take a look at the losses, Alexa Grasso is losing to people Gadea beat. Gadea is not losing to people that Alexa beats. So when you take a look at that kind of stat, you kind of want to lean towards Claudia. She's going to be tough. She's always tough. She doesn't slouch. She's not a quitter. Grasso wins a lot by decision. So I feel like she's comfortable going for points. And I feel like if Claudia gets her down, she's not going to win by points. And she's not going to come out the next round and try and knock her out. I don't think it's going to be a problem for Claudia to get her down at least once. That being said, I feel like Claudia Gadea is going to dominate this fight in the clinches via position. So, like, takedowns, stay in half guard, up against the fence for a while, wear her out. And we're going to see Gadea win this by points, is my call on that one. Both fighters in this fight, safe to bet if you're going to make more than one card to do a flip-flop on this one. They both pay 1.9. So if you take a good multiplier like the Anthony Pettis one earlier, that's 3. You can make 2 cards and you win a lot more money here. That's a flip-flop at 1.9, but I think Gadea is going to win this one. Again, probably by smothering points, just winning in overall position and maintaining position. The next fight, which I thought was just complete mismatch. You have ALEKSEI OLEINIK against Maurice Greene. ALEKSEI OLEINIK's record is 57 wins, 12 losses. Maurice Greene's record is 8 wins, 4 losses. Do you see why I think this is a mismatch? Maurice Greene has no notable wins, is coming off of a loss, and the only thing he's got going for him is he's got power in his hands. Welcome to the heavyweight division. Who doesn't have power in their hands? If you don't, you shouldn't be in that heavyweight division. ALEKSEI OLEINIK has been fighting in UFC a little while, and he's been taking people up, bigger names than him, upsetting them, submissions from the ground underneath, from the bottom. This guy has power in his hands and grappling skills. His striking accuracy is at 50%. He beat Mark Hunt. He beat Travis Brown back when Travis Brown meant something. Yeah, he lost to Overeem and Walt Harris, but Walt Harris pretty much just grappled him and didn't try to advance position. And, I mean, Overeem's a beast sometimes. You get hit by, like I said, anybody's got power in their hands. But he beat Mark Hunt. And this guy's a submission guy. You don't see that all the time in the heavyweights. It catches a lot of them off guard. Maurice Greene, he's a rookie. He's green. I feel like his only chance is to come out swinging. Oleinik knows that. He's going to survive the early storm and win by submission round 2 or 3. Oleinik straight win, 2.1. Take him decisively. But you know what? Straight up, I think that's another good pick there. Take the guy who has 70 fights over the guy who has 12 and has lost a third of them. I don't know what to say. That's in my mind, I don't feel like that should have even been allowed to happen. ALEKSEI OLEINIK, we're going to come back to you afterwards. This brings up to our co-main event in Holly Holm versus Raquel Pennington. Another female fight of the night in the spotlight here. This is going to be 2 great fighters, Holly Holm, Raquel Pennington. Both have good pedigrees. They come from good gyms. They've upset some big names. But they don't seem to be able to hold on to that spotlight, hold on to belts, or really get that moment to shine. In this fight, it's going to be very evenly matched, 12-5, 10-8. But the 12-5 Holly Holm is a little higher pedigree. But Raquel Pennington has a ground game. That's a ground game that Holly Holm doesn't have or doesn't exhibit too much. And as such, I feel if she gets Holly Holm down, she has a very good chance there. Whereas Holly Holm is clearly going to go for striking. She's going to be trying to land those points, a lot of leg kicks, try and slow down Raquel Pennington. That's kind of her shtick, go to the body. And then, we're going to see probably Holm looking to wear down Pennington and win by decision. Pennington, in this case, like I said, has to threaten that ground game so that she can get inside of those kicks from Holm. And Holm is no slouch in the punching game either, but that ground game is Pennington's chance. That's pretty much the go-to to win this. As such, I think we should take Holly home to win this by decision. I think she's just going to outpoint her if she can defend that ground game, which I think she can. With that co-main event done, that brings us to the main event of the evening. There is no title on the line here. The main event is because Conor McGregor's in it. Okay, I'm not the world's biggest McGregor fan, and if you've listened to previous casts, you know I love Cerrone, but frankly, if there's not a title on the line for a main event at a UFC, it's not a fight night, it's a pay-per-view. It's clear McGregor's the one pulling in the bucks on this one. There is a past history with Cerrone. They mouthed off at each other a couple of times at a few interviews, but honestly, I think that it's going to be a great fight to watch. And the one thing that everybody is watching but missing is the weight class. Guys, this is welterweight. McGregor stepping up. His record at welterweight is spotty. I mean, he looks fantastic, I'll be honest. When he fought Diaz, I didn't think that he needed to drop any weight. I think he could maintain that if he had done it for a little bit longer, trained more specifically like that. So I don't think that's going to be too huge of a factor, other than Cerrone has been comfortable at this weight for a very long time. That being said, Cerrone's resume in the striking game is almost on par with McGregor. I mean, I want to say almost on par, but when you actually look at it, you could argue that Cerrone's striking game is better. He's knocked out the who's who in his day. His only catch is you don't see it right at the beginning. He has to warm up into that striking game. Whereas McGregor, you see it right from the onslaught. He just goes and doesn't stop. Spinning kicks, left hooks, right jab. He gets you against the fence. And one thing people don't understand is that he's got a 63% grapple accuracy. When do you see him grapple? Right when you're against the fence. He takes you down, and his ground and pound is nasty. So when people say it's McGregor striking against Cerrone's ground game, it's not that simple. Cerrone can strike. Yeah, he's probably going to have a better chance on the ground than McGregor would have on the ground, but it's not as clear-cut as that. Both guys have a lot of experience. They know what they're doing, and I think it's going to be a very good fight. Advantages, I feel like Cerrone has better cardio at this weight. But when you take a look at McGregor, the lack of his cardio, he's a better starter. He's going to come out with a bang. You see kick reach going to Cerrone. You see punch reach going to McGregor. Cerrone is very well-rounded, like I was mentioning before. He has a lot of submission wins, decision wins, 5-round fights, knockouts. He's very well-rounded, and it's against top guys. He's not just well-rounded, he's very well-rounded. You see McGregor, who's just a striking aficionado. Both guys are good to fight. This is a big-name fight for both of them. There's a lot on the line here. McGregor needs to win this fight. He's 21-4, Cerrone's 36-13, but really, records aside, it doesn't matter at this point with either guy. They're just top-level guys. McGregor wins this, he's going to be back in the fray for title shots. If Cerrone wins this, I mean, it would mean so much to his career right now. He's on a bit of a resurgence, but the thing is, with a resurgence, that means you're kind of past your prime. I'm actually going to give this fight, love Donald Cerrone, giving it to McGregor. I think McGregor is going to win this by KO or TKO. By KO pays out 1.44, so, well, I shouldn't say by KO, but definitively pays 1.44, so if he submits him, that counts. A straight win pays 1.3. Cerrone's a big underdog right now, but I don't feel that would be a safe bet. Enjoy the fight. That's going to be a great fight to watch. I wouldn't miss it. It's headlining the whole event. That's how good it is. No title on the line, and it's headlining everything. That being said, I said we would come back to two different fights. Andre Fili first from the early prelims. Now, Andre Fili, like I mentioned before, heavily underrated. I feel like he could win this fight, and that to have him as an underdog paying 2.1 as a straight win gives you a lot of options. He likes to go in and finish a fight. You can take that definitively. It'll increase your odds. But I think straight up, let's play it safe. Take him at 2.1. Same thing with Alexander OLEINIK. For some reason, that fight's happening. I don't know why. Both guys pay 2.1. Combo them up. That would be my pick. If you had to, I don't think either of those two guys are going to lose that night. Go ahead and combo them up. Make your money on those two bets. For my safest bet out of those two, I know I'm going to enjoy the FILI fight more, but I think OLEINIK has the safer pick on that one. So if you want to take your road to $1 million, put it on OLEINIK. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to do a second card and I'm going to double it up because I think they're both going to win. So good luck. Enjoy the fights. Make some picks. Make some bucks. Again, special thanks to Tots Hot Sauce, bringing that flavor to the table. We're going to have a spread of it up for our fight night. Hope you do too. Good luck.